Okay, so tonight it's a miracle if I can talk to you because like 3 days ago I was still in my bed, very sick. I've been sick between Christmas and the New Year, so um, I'm glad that I'm strong enough to do this video tonight. So while I was sick, I was in my bed with fever, and during several days I didn't listen to any music. I can say, completely in the silence. No music, nothing, the silence, and that's it. And I started wondering why this music, I mean the Tok Tok and Mark Hollis music, gives me images for my paintings, and why most of the other ones don't. Even if I love many other musics, they don't provide, they don't give me ideas to paint, or they don't give me images or thoughts to paint. And I was in my fever, not feeling really fine. It's the least we can say. And I was wondering why, what is so different. You know that I especially love the song Such a Shame, and I put on Google an alert on Such a Shame, the song by Tok Tok. And very often I receive alerts which are not very interesting, like remixes made by Sandra or artists like that. You know, I don't really like the remakes of songs. But the other day I was in my bed and I received a link to a YouTube video, and it was actually Such a Shame, but the extended version, which you can find on A-side, B-side. And it was the extended version, but a little cut at the end, not the complete extended version. I would say only 75% of it. But I hadn't listened to that since several days, at least maybe even 1 week. Whoa. And and in the silence, after having not listened to music at all during several days, I played that, and it was like, wow. I knew it, I already knew it, but it seemed to me much more obvious in my fever situation. In the silence, this music coming out from even not a tool which is a very good sound, because it was from my computer, so I can say that the sound was amazing or of very good quality. It's even not the case. And I had the feeling that it was much deeper than simply a music that I love, or lyrics that I love, or I wanted to try to find exactly what it was. So I listened to it again and again, without the images, without the clip video, because then the clip video distracts me from the music itself, because I watch more Mark Hollis' face than I listen to the music, maybe. So I was listening to this music where there was no image at all. It was just I don't even know what it was. It was just a picture of something. I don't even know. I don't even remember what it was representing, because I was just listening to the music. And I started thinking that beside the melody, which is very strong, in the drums, there was something. There was something which was kind of hypnotizing too, and a sound which is round and warm, and which reminds acoustic instruments, even though I know a lot of keyboards and synthesizers have been used in the It's My Life album, it already had this round and warm and brown um, sound. It's weird to say warm and round and brown, but it's exactly how I would define it. It's like an acoustic instrument, you know, like some wood, the warmth of the wood, the brown of the wood, the round shape of an acoustic instrument, but the sound sounds like that. And the drums, you know, a viewer told me, and she will recognize herself, told me recently that it was like the heartbeat of someone, you know. And I think she's right. It reminds me the beat of the heart, the heartbeat. So it has something really related to us, like us as a human being. And it's also very, the melody has something very English London. I think London, I think that, you know, it's very strange. So I was in my sickness, in my fever, in my bedroom, listening to that, and I thought I must search on internet if there are other people who feel it that way. So as I usually do, I'm browsing on Google, searching for articles or maybe people talking about it. I don't know, anything that I can find, because I'm absolutely sure that I can't be the only one to feel it that way. It's impossible. Or I'm crazy or what, you know. And I'm not talking only about Such a Shame. There are so many other songs by Tok Tok which have a very specific property, something which is totally uncommon. So I found something interesting. I think it's a website, it's a magazine, or I don't know, it's a newspaper, but an online, I think, a newspaper. The name is the Quietus, I suppose we pronounce like that. And it has been written, it's rather recent, it has been written in September the 13th, 2012, and the author is Wyndham Wallace, or no, I think we say Wyndham Wallace. They were saying at the end of the article that if we were interested, we should post that on Facebook or wherever we want. And actually, I posted it on my Facebook page because I thought the article was rather well written, and a lot of researches were made on Tok Tok music. But I thought that I would talk about it also on a video because I think it's interesting. I'm not going to talk about everything because the article is really very long, but there are a few things that I want to talk about. This is how legends are born. Not the kind of legend that allow an act to fill arenas and forces them to set up offshore bank accounts. Not the kind of legend that ensure that each album of pale imitation is greeted by reviews with trumpet a return to form. And certainly not the kind of legend that ensures that every utterance earns them headlines, enabling them to sway public opinion on political, social, or environmental matters. No, Tok Tok are the kind of legend that mature with age, the lack of information and explanation enhancing their inscrutable status of uncompromising pioneers, the unanswered question contributing further to the mystery of how and why they pursued their remarkable fanatic journey towards a sound that no one has never quite managed to replicate or classify. There's the kind of legend whose reputation is built almost entirely upon their music. So basically what he says that they did the contrary of most of the bands. Usually the bands, they arrive, they want to do their thing. So it's not very commercial, it doesn't work really well, and they have to do it again and again and again before finally they manage to be known a little. And then when they become famous, they start becoming very commercial because they want to continue, and they continue to do the same recipe, you know, to work. And they are not as bold and as original how they were originally. But for Totok it's the contrary. They arrived, they were very commercial, it worked almost right away, and more they were become famous, more it was commercial and successful, but I would add with a lot of quality. And then once they were at the top of the top, they started doing what they really wanted, which is absolutely the contrary of what most of the bands do. And then the guy is saying that the legend, the Tok Tok legend, comes from the fact that there were unanswered questions, the fact that they completely disappeared from the public life, I would say. But they also say, the journalists say also in this article, which is important, that there's the kind of legend whose reputation is built almost entirely upon their music. That's what I wanted to say, because, you know, I think that even if they hadn't disappeared, even if we were still hearing from them here and there, they would be a legend, because the legend comes more, according to me, from the music, the quality of the music, and the strange journey they took, than from the fact that they disappeared from the public life. Because, you know, there are a lot of artists who disappeared, but they were so bad that who cares, you know? So, I mean, it's not because you disappear that it's a guarantee of legend. But your music can build a legend. I found this point of view very interesting in this article. I thought that it was well viewed. Let's say that the fact that Mark Hollis disappeared from the public life creates a form of mystery around him. Maybe. It's just because we don't know, but he's still a human being. Even if we don't see him, it doesn't mean that he doesn't exist and that he doesn't have a life as anybody else, you know. He's a human being. I think what is really surprising is the fact that he disappeared from the musical, I wouldn't say industry, because well, he disappeared from the musical industry too, but I mean, it's very rare to see someone who composes so much and so well and so quickly, that this person stops completely. Well, actually we don't know. He probably is still composing. I hope so. It's just that we don't know. We don't know, so we are like, what is going on? We want to know, and we want to hear what he's doing, you know. So I would say that the legend comes from this part of mystery. How could he do that? You know, something like that. But it's not because he would disappear that automatically it would create a legend. The legend comes from the music, because we understood year after year after year the quality of his music and what he wanted to do from the very beginning. And then when we have enough time passed between when he started and now, suddenly we realize, wow, it's incredible what this guy has done. And then, because of the quality of the music and because of his way of working, then we realize that this guy is a legend. He's a hero, he's a sage, he's maybe a kind of musical shaman, I don't know, magician. I don't know. There is something totally unusual. So there is something else in the article also that I liked a lot. So you see there, I printed it and it was 1 page, 2 page. I didn't realize it was so long. But something else that I want to say. Sorry, I'm still sick. Prophets. Oh, so prophets. That's another word for Mark Hollis. Prophets may rarely be recognized in their own time, but their disciples are rarely remembered at all. Tok Tok's music has become a religion of sorts, and their legend keeps on growing. So I suppose that I'm one of the people who is making this legend live. I didn't realize that. Well, my work is like this, you know, but I'm contributing by a certain way. That's weird. Anyway, I didn't see myself like that. Anyway, their legend keeps on growing with or without artifacts such as these. Despite Mark Hollis and Tok Tok's claim that they had always intended to make music as challenging as that with which they ended their existence. Wow, the sentence is a little complicated. Hollis is often said to have attributed the band's early use of synthesizer in place of real instruments to nothing more than financial necessity. There's no way that they could have foreseen just how far the band would journey. But though the story of the band was far from orchestrated, it has the happy conclusion Hollis always wanted. So basically, he's saying that Mark Hollis couldn't imagine what was going to happen at the end of his career, and that he couldn't have planned all this, of course. But it's true that from the very beginning they were using synthesizers, keyboards, things like that. And it's true that from the very beginning Mark Hollis was saying that he was using that because they didn't have the money to pay true musicians, so they had to go for the cheap solution. It was not a choice of his to use synthesizer. If he could have done differently, he would have done. And I want to believe him, because I remember my ex-husband had the same wish too. He was playing on keyboards and on synthesizers and all kind of things, digital things like that, but he was always hoping to have true musicians, and he finally had the opportunity to play and to arrange things with different true musicians. So it was not unusual in the 80s to have artists or musicians who are going digital, but who are dreaming of having everything acoustic. So I totally believe Hollis in this original intention. And then when we listen what the music he made for his full album, the solo album, and you compare with what he did at the beginning, of course it's very different. But I see common points. I think that he was already going from the beginning to the end to what he wanted. He had an idea in mind. Of course, he couldn't know that he was going to reach that, but he was aiming for that. So I completely agree with this guy about what he's saying. Mark Hollis is saying, he's quoted here, he's saying another thing. Mark Hollis said, I hope in the end to be understood for the music I do decide to put out and meaning and sense the music has, he told Melody Makers Cliff Jones in 1991. It's almost useless asking me questions about it. The music speaks for itself. Okay. When I read something like that, I want to cry. I want to cry because, yes, his music speaks for itself. It's true, it doesn't need to be explained all over the world and in all the directions. But still, you know, when we see a masterpiece, a painting, when we hear music or sculpture or anything, even if it's pretty obvious what the artist wanted to do or to say, we still want to hear it from his mouth. We still want him to talk about it. My son lately told me, why talking about our music? We don't need to. People just have to listen to the music. But I may be wrong, you know, maybe that's right. Maybe it's, I would say, depends on the artist. Some artists feel the need to talk about their art, and other artists don't want to talk about it. Obviously, Mark Hollis is among the ones who don't want to talk so much about it. But it's a pity. I think it's a pity because for the people who appreciate this music, we need more. We want to know more about the art, about the process, about how the ideas are coming. And for the people who will be able later, the young people who are going to compose, it can be also a form of lesson, something to learn from him, you know, like an example. Oh, my cat wants to play with a candle. No, you are going to burn yourself. Anyway, you know, young people need to learn, and maybe it would have been interesting to hear more from him. I don't know. No, Chacha, no, touche pas, touche pas. Sorry, I'm afraid him to get burned. Anyway, I will tell you just a last definition at the end. So I don't think it was said by this journalist. I think it has been said in the someone who wrote something in the book about Tok Tok, you know, which was just released then. Spirit of Tok Tok, I think the name is, yes. He defines Mark Hollis as a singer of rare emotive power and a writer with a clear individual vision. I think it's an excellent definition. It's a very beautiful definition of him, and very true. Anyway, I will put the link of this article, which is very long, and I can't read you everything, otherwise the video is going to last 2 hours, which is not possible. On YouTube it's too long. you are going to get bored. But if you want to read it completely, you can. It's very interesting. I recommend, if there is a song that you especially love by Tok Tok, try to stay in the silence during several days, as I did. It was not, it was just a coincidence. I didn't decide, okay, I'm not going to listen to music during 4, 5, 6 days. No, it's just that I was so sick that I was not in a state of mind to listen to music in that situation, and it happened just like that. But if you can do that, try to not to listen to music during a few days, and then listen to the song that you love by Tok Tok, and you are going to see the power that it has after the silence. If any of you have any idea on the subject, please do comment and like my video if you found that interesting. Thank you very much. Bye bye.